All right, we'll let them scan, just follow them around. But yeah, the new patch is interesting. There's a lot of little stuff like, okay, you don't join a lobby as an observer anymore, right? Ooh, that is an interesting little. I might have just thrown down scientific on that silicon, by the way.
Yeah.
That looks super tempting. But yeah, like observers, you can now select observer more like from the difficulty menu, I think is what it was supposed to be. From what I was reading in the changelog, things like that. The solar panel has a sweet new build animation that I really, really like. There's a new like general build animation that looks a lot nicer. The wind turbine and the reactor have new models. You know, there's a bunch of good stuff. I didn't see too many balance tweaks, except that I think water now starts the game at $20.
Oh.
And I think glass and electronics both now start the game at $60.
Oh, that's better
So
for
like,
robotic, for sure.
yeah, it's like actually a pretty big buff to robotic, both of those things. So
Yeah, I think, well, actually with that, I think they're going to get more viable for sure.
yeah, definitely. And I already think robotic has its place. It's a little awkward maybe, and maybe it's just a little too weak to black market and things like that, but it could be a really, really nice thing.
Yep, let's see how it's going to turn out. Okay, so back to the game. As you
Hmm.
said, indecision, taking that wonderful, wonderful scientific spot that you were talking about.
Yep.
And Cubit actually going scavenger, producing 4 carbon tick with those 3 carbon, with those 2 carbon mines. Each of them are a 3 stack, and actually going to go for water early on also. So really
Yep.
interesting under both players.
Yeah, that is a lot of. I think Cubit, he's just trying to lock up all those water tiles, which is understandable with Indecision being a scientist. He wants those water tiles. Oh no, Indecision actually locking up the 3 water tiles up top. Cubit going for the water down south. Cubit's also taken 2 aluminum tiles to Indecision's 1 so far. And that could strangle Indecision out of upgrading easily if he uses it well.
And also Cubit going for that silicon tile to the north. Um, I think that will just be used for solar panels early on, maybe, and then, switching those out to more like life support-ish stuff.
Yeah, they could be used just to build up a stockpile for glass later. They could be used for solar panels. It kind of does give him an additional option rather than just building wind turbines. But I do think it's worth pointing out that I believe this spot just to the north of Cubit is actually a great spot to drop wind turbines down on. Obviously, you don't get perfect adjacency, but you've got 3.9 tiles there, and that's pretty nice,
It's definitely
realistically.
something, yeah. And also now, indecision, going for that water, going for those reactors. So definitely good for him, getting that head start in the life support. Um,
Oh, water surplus coming.
I
That's
don't,
interesting.
yeah, I don't really see like a big problem for both of the players since it's still early on. They didn't really invest much into water, so
Yeah.
I think this is still okay for both players. They're still pretty much balanced out at this
Oh,
point.
definitely. Definitely. One thing I will say, it does make it a bit easier for Qubit to maybe move into those reactors a bit earlier, perhaps, because water is going to be so cheap. So that's worth noting. We're also seeing a lot of mutinies and counter mutinying going down on the quite valuable high aluminum tile. So just more things to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Also, I don't really for scientific. I think generally indecision will be behind because he doesn't have this big water cluster where he can use that adjacency bonus as well as like right now currently. So maybe if he would get slant drilling, that would pick up that adjacency thing.
He
So
could he could certainly try and get slant drilling. My concern with slant drilling is just how much time it takes to get done. It is a massive commitment for a 1v1 game for sure. And it's doable, but it's definitely a risk.
yeah, maybe hope for that RNG auction to come up. That would if that would happen, I think Indecision would actually have slight advantage in this game as
Yeah,
it
I
stands
mean,
right now.
if he could take it, oh yeah, that would be brilliant. But we'll just have to see what happens. Obviously, first auction was virtual reality, which actually just went to indecision for 5,000. Probably reasonable. it will give him a fair amount of money if he decides to put down a pleasure dome, $128 a second, but it's not going to be usable for some time still.
Yeah, I don't really agree with Pleasure Dome in a 1 versus 1 at all. Like that's just me because like you have two players and that doesn't really profit at all that much. So so I don't really mostly agree with it.
I'm
Also,
not sure about this at this point. I don't know if you noticed what happened. I think Indecision was trying to bid on that, and Cubit blocked him out of it with the bug we've got in the game at this point.
yeah. If you want to talk about that bug real quick, it'd be
No, it's
awesome.
okay. I think that's what was going on, especially because Indecision says that was weird.
Black market is online.
I did not even see that in chat. So,
Yeah, chat's a little buggy, but
but yeah. Also, Indecision going into power actually first with a geothermal. I think it's the right choice right now. He even has like goon squatted. Power right now is actually kind of high for what it is. Also Cubit, getting that tile and actually placing a solar panel on there. So yeah, definitely using that
Scientific colony expanded.
stockpile of silicon and also getting glass. So that's also a thing.
yeah, yeah. Cubit's
Glass
moving
right
into some
now.
nice resources.
Yeah, glass right now. I think is the way to go. Definitely Indecision is slightly behind now. Actually, also wanting to seal that one water tile between Cubit's water and the solar panel. Also, just detail
Hmm.
that you can't get that adjacent bonus.
Yeah, yeah. Cubit's definitely going to have a bit more of an issue handling that,
Right now,
trying to get
actually,
those adjacency bonuses down. Now, Cubit, yeah, and Cubit might be a bit locked out of the water resources this game, frankly. Could cause him some problems.
but yeah, I think he has enough water. Like,
He has a stockpile, but if things start going nuts, I don't know. Could be kind of awkward. He can't even really effectively short water against his opponent and cause him too many problems with it. I mean, yeah, he could get stuff up and running for a while, but for a long-term plan, that water stockpile is going to drain pretty fast if he gets any good production up.
yeah, and also Indecision getting that patent lab. Wondering what he's going to research at this point. Ooh, he might as well go for slant drilling because he just built that reactor. Made a triangle with his other reactors, so he might go. Yep. Oh, carbon scrubbing. Okay, that just took a left
Interesting.
turn.
Carbon scrubbing is definitely an interesting decision for Indecision. I mean, it is a fair point that his opponent has better control of the carbon market than he does, but that's an exceptionally long-term play. We're talking very, very late-game resources off something like that with chems and electronics. And those usually don't come into play much, especially if there's no robotic player around in a 1v1.
Yep. And then, well, I'm just wondering, like, maybe you can help me out here. Why would he build this third reactor if he's actually going for carbon scrubbing? Like, did he misclick, or is it more of a?
I think it's just because it's still a good building. He has to supply it with water, but it's massive adjacency bonuses. He's making twice as much fuel and oxygen as he was before, as long as it's... Oh, he's even just... That's really interesting. Indecision choosing to turn that building off, and he is just using that tile to give an additional adjacency bonus to his current reactors. That's interesting. I don't know how that's going to pan out for him.
Well, the thing is for me, right? Because like I'm like this typical expansive player, and for me, like wasting one tile is like a huge thing, like a huge sin for like this expansive style of play that I usually play. So it's actually really cool to see that players actually do this. Really nice. Just to see
Okay.
something different.
It is turned back on. It'll just need to be supplied with water at this point, and we'll see how that goes.
And also Cubit going for 3 reactors, and as you said, that water pile, actually shrunk just a little bit. And
Yeah, and it's going
Indecision,
to keep shrinking.
yeah, it's going to keep shrinking for sure. And Indecision actually piling up on black market items. Has 1 nuke and 1 dynamite so far. So let's see what he's going to do out of, just make out of that. Maybe get Cubit's silicon. That would be an option.
He could nuke out some silicon. That would definitely shut down the glass production very effectively. Just taking Cubit down to basically trace silicon exactly. And so That could definitely be a bit of a big blow to Cubit, wasting that one tile. He could also try and nuke some water, probably a bit less effective with Cubit's massive stockpile. But it is worth noting that Cubit moving even more into these water resources, which is going to start draining very quickly. But Indecision actually going for the carbon. Both of them. He's just going to nuke out both carbon tiles at the same time, taking Cubit down to only 2 carbon income a second. But Cubit's already on 400 carbon. It's worth about $30 a piece. He can even upgrade at the moment if he wants to. And the thing is, Cubit's production is already established. He doesn't really need too much more carbon unless he wanted to upgrade or switch buildings around, and he doesn't need to do either of those things if he doesn't want to.
Yeah, so right now, actually, Indecision going to the solar panels actually got a power surged by Cubit, and also blowing up that one solar panel by Cubit with that one dynamite that he had. So right now the worth out of this is that Indecision is probably thinking he's making a lot of carbon right now. Let's reduce that, and maybe he's not going to be so strong late game, since he still will need to spend at least one more tile on carbon, because with 2 carbon a second, like, you're not going to go that far into late game. And right now, Indecision getting that carbon scrubbing, that's definitely a late game play style for sure. That's going to come out of Indecision.
Definitely. Also, Perpetual Motion just about to finish up for Indecision. He is definitely trying to push this late, and Cubit's going to want to finish it up fast. We'll have to see which player is going to be more successful in their endeavor. I still think carbon scrubbing was an interesting play, though, if he's going to push late. I think slant drilling, like you suggested, might have been a better option.
Yeah, definitely. But I know I could see carbon scrubbing work, because as you already mentioned, like, there's not that much carbon on this map at all. So if he wants to pull this out to late game with the black market, he definitely could go ahead and do that. But then in late game, what can he do, because there's no carbon on the map? So right now I think he came in this with a plan. Like, he saw the map, placed down, I have a plan, and let's go after his plan. And right now I think that's working out just fine for him.
Yeah. One thing worth noting is definitely that Cubit has a carbon shortage on the way in, so he's beefing up that carbon price as much as he can, but it's very fortunate for Indecision, having nuked those tiles out, that he's sitting on a lot less carbon than he could be right now.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that he would be like on 800 carbon right now.
Definitely. Unfortunately, this short is still going to work fantastically for Cubit. Indecision, not so much a believer in the hacker array as he has stated before. Doesn't think it's necessary in a 1v1 situation, which is very different from the opinion of other players who have been competing at a high level in this tournament. So we're just going to have to see how that goes. There's also a natural chem short occurring right after this carbon shortage. And so Cubit is just bouncing from carbon into chems. He could even move into this iron short that's about to appear once chems clean up. And then he's going to be sitting on an amount of money that can only be described as ridiculous.
Yeah, this right now is interesting. Oh man, that iron short. Yeah, he went from carbon short, to selling carbon, to buying chemicals, to selling chemicals, to buying iron. And this play right now, this is wow. This is phenomenal. Like, just imagine RNG. But yeah, as I said before, Cubit might want to take that, carbon tile. He actually did that, and it actually has 188,000.
Your stock is being bought.
Yeah.
That's right now. That's the game. That play right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't even much of a play. It was like, man, this carbon short, I made a lot of money on that. What can I do now? Oh, look, a natural shortage. Oh, look, a natural shortage right in a row. It was just kind of dumb. It's what it is.
That was...
And that's probably going to be the game wrapped up. I mean, he may not have enough to finish the exact complete buy at this point. He might. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, he has it.
And that's going to help him out significantly. And all those shortages just took long enough for him to move into the next one if he wants to, which he is going to go ahead and secure this game by moving into the silicon short he started with his hacker array. He actually also freezes Indecision's iron tiles during this whole process, and so this game is almost certainly over. Should have turned off the glass furnaces during all that, failed to do that. but it won't make too much of a difference. That's going to wrap it up.
And GG for sure.
Hey guys, shorts are good. I don't know if you've heard yet. Shorts are pretty good, chat. Just so you know.
Yeah, definitely. So, so going into the resources, Indecision actually sold more power than Cubit. But with that early geothermal play, that's, definitely notable. It's just, small details everywhere. But yeah, Cubit, he just, wow, he just did so much with those shortages on the end.
Yep. Scavengers can do that. And he got quite fortunate that there were 2 natural shorts. I think that all that really did was quicken the game up for us, if I'm honest, but we can see he made just huge amounts of money on these shortages, considering that he never produced iron once that game, and he never purchased it to make steel. We can see that he just flat out made $72,000 on the shortage. Just pure profit right there.
Wow.
That's disgusting is what that is. Kim's much more light of a situation. He only made $44,000. Then he also made some profit off the carbon, which is a lot harder to read into, but that's the power of the shortages in this game.
Yep. And also going to the black market, Cuba actually used 9 items and Indecision only used 6. I think, Indecision for scientific, sorry. Definitely used the black market, to the best of his abilities. Like
I think he made a good effort at it.
Yeah, you don't really see that often that the black market is getting used by other races too much. Other colonies.
One thing I definitely didn't like was the early attempted mutiny on the aluminum. When you're against a scavenger, that is a massively high-risk play because he is going to have access to the black market shortly if he doesn't have it already. And that mutiny doesn't cost him all that much more. It's going to be entirely worth it for him to just mutiny it right back. And so I feel like an early mutiny against a scavenger like that is almost certainly going to be wasted. And we saw that was the case here.
Yep. All right, good game. I think we should move on to game number 2.
Yep. Do we know if we're doing a